She wasn't sick, she wasn't depressed, and she didn't run away. She simply vanished after seeing something no one believed was real. The girl told her parents about the man in the hallway, tall, shadowy, wearing a wide-brimmed hat. They said it was just a nightmare. 2 days later, she disappeared from her locked bedroom with the door shut from the inside. It's a real case, documented in police reports, newspaper articles, and family testimonies. In 2014, Avery started telling her parents that something was visiting her at night, always around 3 a.m. She described the figure in disturbing detail. Unnaturally thin, glowing eyes, and a wide-brimmed hat that hid part of his face. Always still, always watching. At first, she'd be found standing silently in the hallway, sitting on the stairs, eyes wide open. But soon after, she started appearing in locked rooms, sometimes even outside, barefoot, in the cold night air, always around 3 a.m. The Hat Man appeared in nearly every sketch, standing in her bedroom doorway or next to a bed. In one drawing, he held her hand. In another, he hovered above her while she slept. The Hat Man is halfway through it, already entering. On the other side, Avery stands with her hand stretched out, as if ready to follow him. Her room was on the second floor, window locked, door shut, nothing out of place. All that remained was a single sheet of paper on her desk, with a sentence written in red ink. He opened the door. Her parents checked on her around midnight. She was sleeping, but at 6:45 the next morning, the room was empty. The house was fully locked. The security cameras showed nothing. Police dogs tracked her scent to the hallway, and then it vanished, as if she had evaporated into thin air. And in all of them, his eyes glowed, as if they were staring through the paper. Nothing. Everything points to one chilling conclusion. The last thing the girl saw was him, and since then she's never been seen again. A compulsion, as if their mind isn't fully their own. One survivor, a 32-year-old man from Illinois, claimed he had recurring dreams of a hallway lined with black doors. In the dreams, the Hat Man would always open one and beckon him to step inside. Every night, the door got closer, until one day, the man woke up standing outside his own house, barefoot, with dirt under his fingernails. The door was open behind him, but he had no memory of unlocking it, because once the door's open, there's no going back. But the scariest part is, other people have seen this same man, and many of them also vanished. This isn't an urban legend, it's not a creepypasta, it's not a campfire story. Avery wasn't just scared to sleep, she started to change. Is that she's not the only one. Across the United States and even in other countries, hundreds of people have reported seeing this same figure. Observers, watchers, they cannot fully enter our world unless we open the door by seeing them, thinking about them, fearing them. A tall, shadowy man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, always appearing in bedrooms, always around 3 a.m. A shared illusion. But what they can't explain is how people who've never met in different cities and even different countries describe the same exact being with identical details and experiences. Feeling watched, hearing whispers, seeing doors appear where there were none. She loved drawing, especially strange landscapes and eerie figures. She looked pale, drained. When asked what was wrong, she said, "He comes every night now. He's closer." Her parents took her to several doctors. All tests came back normal. No medical issues, no signs of psychological disorder, no explanation. Her sketchbooks, according to her mother, already had disturbing images long before she spoke about the man in the hat. What seemed like imagination turned out to be a warning. Her name was Avery Carter. She was only 14 years old, living in Ashland, Oregon. At first, her parents thought it was just sleep paralysis, something common, especially in teenagers. But they quickly realized this was different. She was a quiet, intelligent girl with a creative mind. Then the sleepwalking began. Avery started losing weight. Then her drawings changed. The shadowy figures became clearer, more detailed. The last drawing she ever made is the most disturbing. It shows a door appearing in the middle of her bedroom wall. On the night of March 12, 2014, she vanished. She went to bed around 10:30 p.m. The bed was neatly made, something Avery never did. Her sketchbook was gone. No fingerprints, no footprints. Since that day, no trace of Avery has ever been found. But what makes this case even more terrifying? They call this entity the Hat Man. Some experts claim it's a collective hallucination caused by sleep paralysis. And in many of these stories, someone disappears, just like Avery. Others who've encountered the Hat Man report something even more disturbing. A growing urge to follow him. Avery had drawn those same black doors weeks before she vanished. Coincidence? Or are we dealing with something ancient, something beyond human understanding? Some cultures believe in shadow beings, spirits that live between dimensions. And the Hat Man, he's the one who waits for that moment. Avery's disappearance might sound like a tragic one-off, an unexplained anomaly, until you start digging, because once you do, the pattern becomes undeniable. Different towns, different decades, same figure, same story, and almost always a missing person. Just like Avery, He complained about a man standing in the corner of his room. His mother thought he was making it up to avoid sleeping alone. But one night, she heard Marcus scream. When she rushed in, the boy was curled in the corner, eyes wide with terror, repeating the same phrase over and over. He touched the wall. Take the case of Marcus Harlech, a 9-year-old boy who disappeared from his home in rural Georgia in 1992. The only thing left behind was his blanket, perfectly folded on the floor. She said, "That's the same man, the one my son saw, the one with the hat." She had never spoken publicly about it before. No one had believed her. The stories were beginning to overlap, and that's when researchers started noticing the pattern. The next night, he was gone. No signs of forced entry. Her bed sheets were cold, and her feet were covered in black dust. Years later, when Avery's case hit the news, Marcus's mother contacted authorities. In nearly every account involving the Hat Man, 3 things are consistent. The figure appears between 2:55 and 3:15 a.m. The person experiencing it starts to behave strangely. Drawings, notes, or recordings left behind always include the mention of a door that doesn't exist. And more importantly, the closer the person gets to the Hat Man, the more they seem to lose touch with reality. Teresa described being pulled through a black doorway during a dream. The footage is now infamous in the paranormal community. She claimed it felt like falling sideways, and that everything on the other side was wrong, twisted, silent, not walking in, just fading into view. Elliot begins to shake violently. Then he sits up, eyes open, and speaks a sentence that has never been explained. She spent what she thought was hours walking through endless halls made of flickering static and impossible geometry, and in the distance, she always heard footsteps. When asked about what he saw, all he ever said was, "He opened the door." She discovered that in 71% of cases, witnesses also experienced what they called time skips, moments of missing time. Some lasted seconds, others hours. Locations, cultures describe the exact same figure, draw the same doors, speak the same phrases, without ever having met or known of each other. A few claim to have woken up in entirely different locations with no memory of how they got there. When run through audio spectrogram software, it showed a shape, a humanoid figure, wearing a wide-brimmed hat. There are entire forums online filled with anonymous users posting eerily similar experiences. No details, no face, but the hat, unmistakable. Some talk about waking up with strange bruises, others about hearing static right before falling asleep, and a few have posted blurry photos. A paranormal investigator named Dr. Eliza Morgan compiled over 400 Hatman cases over 2 decades. Her findings are chilling. Dr. Morgan interviewed a woman named Teresa Calder who had survived multiple encounters. But when she woke up, only 4 minutes had passed. Forensic analysis showed that dust wasn't from her home, it wasn't even local. It contained minerals not found anywhere in the region. Some have speculated that the Hat Man is not a ghost, but a dimensional parasite, a being that exists just outside of our visible spectrum, feeding off fear, slowly pulling people into its realm. Others go further, connecting him to ancient entities found in global mythology. In Persian folklore, there's a figure called the Devisia, the Black Giant, said to steal people in their dreams and take them to a dark castle where time stands still. In Zulu culture, shadowy beings known as Tikoloshi said to paralyze people in their sleep, feeding off their life force and leaving behind nothing but footprints in a cold breeze. Even in Christian demonology, there are references to shadow demons who wear crowns of shadow, described eerily similar to a wide-brimmed hat, and who lured the curious through forbidden doorways. And then there's the technology connection. In 2007, a 17-year-old boy named Elliot Myers from Seattle set up a night vision webcam to record himself sleeping after weeks of terrifying nightmares. At exactly 3:03 a.m., a tall black figure appears in the corner of the frame. "I see the hallway now, I see where they go." Then the screen cuts to static. Elliot was found the next morning in his closet, curled up, unresponsive. He spent 6 months in a psychiatric facility. The same words Avery wrote the night she vanished. Coincidence, pattern, or evidence? Dr. Morgan later analyzed the audio from Elliot's video. Hidden beneath the static, she uncovered a faint background frequency, a series of sounds that repeated every 14 seconds. Now, think about this. How can multiple people, different ages, and why do the stories always end the same way? Either with disappearance, insanity, or a chilling silence, like something's watching, waiting for the next door to open. Avery's case may have been the most publicized, but it's far from unique. One image, uploaded in 2019, shows a grainy black figure standing in a doorway. The account that posted it deleted the same night. IP address untraceable. So the question isn't if the Hat Man is real. It's this: what happens to the ones who follow him through the door and don't come back? It always begins with a shadow, and it always ends with a door. But what if that door was never meant to be opened? What if the Hat Man isn't just a passive observer, but something far more dangerous, something summoned. In 2021, an underground group of researchers known only as the Doorwalkers Collective released a 92-page digital manifesto. It was quickly removed from every platform. It appeared on flag for dangerous psychological content, but archived fragments still exist. And what they reveal is terrifying. According to the manifesto, the Hat Man is not a ghost, not a demon, not even an independent entity. He is described as a sentient echo, a remnant of an ancient intelligence that predates human consciousness, a being that can only manifest through belief, repetition, and fear. The document states, several users on online forums have admitted to dreaming of the Hat Man immediately after reading about him, even if they had never heard of him before. He grows when he is remembered. He enters when you invite him by knowing. This would explain the strange phenomenon of contagious encounters, people experiencing sightings after simply hearing the stories. And then there's the most unsettling part, a section titled Blueprints for the Door. This section included detailed descriptions and even diagrams of how to create a space where the Hat Man can more easily appear. These spaces follow specific rules. No natural light. In the video, Julian is calm, curious. He walks viewers through the steps. He says he's skeptical but wants proof. He builds the door space exactly as described. Mirrors removed. A doorway without a door. A personal object of emotional significance placed on the floor. It's as if he simply disappeared in an unpublished hospital report leaked by a former employee. The report includes dozens of handwritten pages from RC, filled with symbols, sketches of shadow figures, and repeated phrases. People began to experiment, and what followed were reports of increased sightings, disorientation, and in at least one case another disappearance. A man named Julian Keys, a 33-year-old from Ohio, posted a YouTube video titled, "I am going to invite him in as part of a live experiment using the Doorwalker's instructions. Always just around the corner." At the end of the video, the screen glitches for 0.5 seconds. Something that observes, waits, and only reveals itself to those who are vulnerable or curious enough to look for him. Frame by frame, you can see it. A silhouette, tall, still, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, standing behind Julian as he faces the camera. The video ends. Julian hasn't posted since. Comments on the video are disabled. The location was never confirmed, and attempts to trace Julian's online presence since then have all failed. But perhaps the most bone-chilling case comes from a psychiatric patient identified only as O1. Phrase appears 178 times throughout his writings. He wears time like a coat. He walks through the static. When asked by his doctors who he was, RC said, "You already know. If you've seen the door, you've already heard him knocking." And then he stopped speaking altogether. That same week, hospital staff reported electrical malfunctions, strange dreams, and 3 patients claiming to see a tall man in the hallway. If the Hat Man is real, then we may be dealing with something that isn't bound by the laws of our world. But maybe the worst part is this. Once you start seeing him, you can't stop. Your dreams change. Your home starts to feel colder. You begin noticing dark corners that weren't there before. Your electronics flicker more often. Your sleep gets lighter. And eventually, you start waking up at 3:03 a.m. without any alarm, without any reason. I've got another terrifying story waiting for you, and it is showing up right here on the screen now. Go ahead, click it, if you dare. And if you listen closely, you might hear something just beyond the wall. Something tapping, something waiting, and if you're not careful, you might open the door. Before you go, ask yourself one question. Was this just a creepy story? Or did something inside you recognize it? If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into the darkest mysteries of our world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you can imagine. Until next time, stay in the light and don't open the door.